All right, ladies, we are in training number 2 for branding and marketing refresh. I'm super excited. Now, before we get started though, you ladies aren't live or aren't muted. Well, Lynn's muted and Carolina, but I want you to unmute yourselves because I want to go through each of you. I'll call you by name and I just want a quick 10 seconds of how you're feeling about where you are. I want total honesty. You're insane, I don't get this, or wow, I'm loving this. So Andrea, we'll start with you.
Loving it, but I know it sounds like you don't agree with me, but I'm struggling in going deep, and I've always had that issue. I feel like I'm surfacey with a lot of answers that I give to different things. So that's where I'm hoping that this is going to help me really be able to dig deep and figure out who I am. So like I'm writing my bio right now. Okay. I don't know what to write. And I think that's probably some self-confidence issues that I don't like to brag on myself. So that's where I'm at.
That is very, very helpful. Excellent. Carolina, thank you, Andrea.
Yep.
Carolina. Well, I'm exhausted.
Well, why is that?
Because you have me working a lot. I'm doing the Better Biz Challenge, and I'm doing this. I have my 5-year-old, and today we have two of his friends here. So I was telling them, like, you need to get your toy and get out. But I'm definitely very excited.
Long time, Mom, Carolina. You're primed right there.
But now I'm very excited. I'm starting to be more positive. Definitely the core values and like my vision, like this really helped me with that. I think that the challenge also helped me with the mindsetting. So I'm getting better at that.
Awesome. Very good. Excellent. Love it. Thank you for that. Heather.
Hello.
Hello.
I'm really enjoying it so far. It's definitely made me think a lot about myself and things that I guess like I didn't realize about myself when I was writing my bio. I like to summarize a lot of things. So that's why it was a very kind of like smaller, I guess, on the Facebook page. But I had my friends kind of help me. So I'm really just kind of looking forward to the next step. So
yeah. Awesome. Very good. Thank you for that. And Lynn.
Oh, mercy. Just, can I use Andrea's answer? Because I feel like I feel like I'm also, I've always had trouble really going deep, and I feel like I'm kind of on the surface. Actually, last year at the listing intensive at the beach, I think, when we went around the room, several people said, once they started talking to me, I was deeper than they thought I would be. I guess when you talk like a hick and walk like a hick, anyhow. I'm enjoying it. It is a challenge. Because I want to just give quick answers, but I really need to think through this. It's just got to be done. And so and then I hit myself with, don't overthink it. Don't let yourself be overwhelmed. So I think it's great so far, and I'm excited about it, but kind of relying on my husband to help me. And I haven't talked to friends about this so much yet. One of my best friend's daughter now works at our firm, and I feel kind of awkward now talking to my friend about stuff. So yeah. Anyhow, okay. So I don't know. I feel like that answer wasn't even an answer. It's
no, that's good. I'm writing down notes. Yeah, I have plenty for you, Lynn. Thank you for that. Janine, how about you?
Janine, did you say?
Janine?
Oh, I'm here. Sorry. Can you hear me?
And I don't know if you were here. I think you heard it, but I think Connie Lynn came late. We're talking about what's your impression, good, bad, or otherwise?
No, it's good. It's good. It'll be interesting to see how this all is going to go into play to work.
Yeah.
That's
juggle it all, right?
Yeah. I mean, once we get everything together, then what do we do?
Can you hear me?
Is someone saying, can you hear me? Wait, I think it was Connie Lynn's granddaughter. Okay. All right, Janine. So it's hard to juggle it all. And I missed the last part. I'm sorry.
I guess I'm like trying to be positive about everything, but sometimes I want to be like put negative things.
Okay.
It's just, well, because it's not all positive, you know what I mean?
Yeah. And is the stuff that's not positive specifically related to what we're doing here, or is it just?
Oh, no, me.
Okay.
My things.
Okay. And quick question then, do you think confidence has anything to do with that, or is it something?
Definitely huge. I mean, I try to like be real positive and like write everything like really, really positive. And I'm like, well, is this really me? You know, I'm trying to sell myself almost. You know what I mean?
Okay, great. Well, I appreciate your honesty. And so I think confidence is something I've got to address this time around. This is really, really good. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
And Mary, how are you doing with everything?
Today I realized that I was getting confused on doing my branding and marketing. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. And because I'm taking all the things all at one time. So it was like, what am I working on? Am I working on Build a Better Biz? So it was kind of like, I had to like refocus myself of where I was at. But I have to tell you, and I think I posted it someplace about that, like a couple days ago, I woke up and I was totally energized. And it was like, nothing can stand in my way, even though in my mind, I'm kind of stopping myself going, okay, now what's your next step going to be? So I'm questioning more about, I can now see like the end of the tunnel, so to speak, of my success, but now I'm trying to figure out how I get to the end of that tunnel. So
Right.
at least my mindset has improved, and before I couldn't get past the barrier of, well, what are you trying to do? So at least I'm happy about that, and I'm really looking forward to getting my branding done and, you know, maybe getting the new logo or whatever I need to, because to me that was like the end of my foundation of getting everything built, my website and my social media. It's all there, but I need it tweaked. And I think with the branding and marketing, that's what I needed to get that finished.
Awesome.
So,
awesome. And by the way, I love your website's well on its way. I mean,
and that's brand new. I've only had it for 2 days, so I'm just trying to get that up and running. So
that's awesome. That's excellent.
thanks, Judy.
Very good, Mary. Very, very good. I'm going to unmute you, Connie Lynn. You're up.
Hi.
How are you?
Oh, I'm behind. I've had a sick granddaughter. She's a little better now, and tonight I have to jump out early because it's ballet night. So I'm sorry. Wednesdays are pretty hard for me. Yep.
No.
But,
that's why we record it. So that's fine.
I know. I am behind. I'm still struggling on fonts, but I will get there. They're all very similar. That's my problem that I like. Okay. So that's it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Excellent. Very, very good. I appreciate you ladies being honest with me on that, because it helps me to know, you know, like I say, you guys are my betas. So I need to be mindful of what I'm doing. And I know I threw a lot at you. And what we're going to be doing today is kind of leaving for the moment what you've done last week. Kind of leaving it simmer, if you will, as we move on for other things. And then next week, we're going to be bringing things together. So just trust the process. Again, a couple of announcements. Our midterm Q&A is coming up on Monday, the 7th at 7 p.m. Eastern. And of course, all of your Zoom links are there in the Facebook group. And that's going to be Q&A and also hot seats. So I want you to think about if you want to be on the hot seat. And I haven't determined how long a hot seat's going to be or even what the question is. And I don't even want to tell you what the question is. If you're a brave soul and you want to, you know, really put yourself on that hot seat and get the most out of things, then let me know. I'm going to put a little hot seat post there tonight or tomorrow. And then you can say, me. And I hope everybody says me, 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 me. Okay. All right. No, you don't have to, but you know, it's good. Okay. It's one of those things, it's painful, but it's good. Okay. Then teaching number 3 is next Thursday, the 10th at 11 a.m. Eastern. Okay. Before we jump in, one of the things I said we were going to do was to address mindset and what happens when you, maybe like Janine was saying and others have said, my gosh, you know, sometimes I'm just like, on overwhelm and maybe not in the best mindset. And when I think about mindset, if you're with me on the Build a Better Biz, yesterday I kind of went through how I think is the optimal way to kick out negative self-talk. And that is, you say no anytime it's a lie. You know, I'm unworthy, I can't do that, I'm afraid to do that, that kind of thing. You've got to identify that it's a negative thought, it's a lie. Then you say no, you outright say no, and then you replace that with a Bible verse, which is truth, absolute truth. See, that's the beauty of bringing Jesus Christ into your business, because then, you know, we know what we can rely on in him. When we can't rely on anybody else, not even ourselves, we can always rely on him. And on top of all that, and I'm going to post that video. It's actually what I had my son cut and paste portions of yesterday's live in the Build a Better Biz, and I put that out as my weekly YouTube video. So I'll post that in the group. But also it really comes down to 2 questions that you need to ask yourself when you're not feeling up to snuff, right? And those 2 questions are, am I committed? And do I really trust God? Because if you're committed to whatever it is, you know, boy, I look at my fat face and I'm like, well, how much weight did I gain, you know? And I look at my arms and, you know, I'm 53, so I'm getting old and, you know, Connie Lynch laughed, we're about the same age, you know, and Lynn, we're about the same age. And so, you know, it's like those things where I'm like, so, you know, am I committed to working out? Heck no. So that's the way I am, okay? But, you know, for your business, am I committed? Oh yeah, that's why I've been putting in like 18-hour days this whole freaking week. I am committed. And then if you go, okay, I'm committed, but I still feel bad. Then you say, is God who he says he is? Do I really trust him? Does he say that hard work will be rewarded? Does he say that he will never leave me nor forsake me, and with him I can do anything? Heck yeah, then I'm all in. All of a sudden my bad is turned around to the positive. So to me, that's the way that you turn things around. So, hey Celine.
Hey.
How are you?
Good, and you?
Good, so good to see you. Listen, we just went round robin. So before I dive into the PowerPoint, I want to ask you the same question I asked the other ladies, and that is, tell me the good, the bad, and the ugly. How are you doing now that we're a full week into the program? Tell me the goods, the bads, and everything in between.
I'm struggling a little bit. I mean, it's good because you get to know yourself a little bit better, you know, the things that you like, what you don't like, how you want to do business. It makes you rethink and reassess the way you do business now. Sometimes you don't think about how you want to do branding, the colors, the fonts. I mean, it's all about you, you know? So that's why I wrote today. I haven't even done my intro video yet because I'm not a camera person. So I definitely have to go outside my comfort zone.
Well, that's good. You know what's so funny? You look so great on film, and I bet any money, you don't think so? I mean, none of us probably do, right? But is that why? Like, what is it about film that you just don't?
I don't know. And I'm not shy. I mean, I'm a church going person. I've been in the worship team since I was a baby. So I'm not shy to be in front of people. It's just something about the camera. I mean, you want to look your best, like your hair on point and your makeup ready. So, you know, sometimes you don't see how the other people see you. So I don't know.
Okay. Well, we all experience that. And I've read up on confidence a lot, and even supermodels, you know, they can find body parts that they hate. And even when they're made up, they're like, oh, look how big my whatever is, you know, or look at that, you know. So it's one of those things where I'm going to tell you what I tell myself, get over it. people see you now. It's just that you're not on film. You're
I know.
so, okay, but thank you for that. That's great
Okay.
information. I wrote that down. All right, I'm going to share my screen. Okay, here we go. Please let me know if you are seeing what I'm seeing. Can you see the branding and marketing refresh?
Yes.
Yes.
Everybody hears me okay still? Oh, yes?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. All right. How about you all mute yourselves if you can, please? And then we'll dive in. All right. So I just wanted to review oh, look at Connie Lynn's granddaughter. Isn't she sweet? All right. So some ground rules just to make sure we all remember. Okay. No overwhelm. No overthinking. Taking this, I know it was a lot that I gave you last week, and it can be even, it can feel even like a mountain if you overthink it. So remember that one of my main mantras is imperfect action. Done is better than perfect, because we're going to have time to tweak. And as I've said, although this is, you're in the beta, so this is currently a 4-week, I was going to say deal, a 4-week program. I ain't going anyplace, and neither are you. You can stay in the group. So my promise to you is that whether it takes 4 weeks or 5 weeks or 6 weeks, by then I know we will all be able to pull it together, certainly by then, but I am here to help you. So just hand stuff in, doesn't have to be perfect. And when we have our one-on-one, which is going to be October 14th and 15th, and I'm hoping that I'll be able to figure out, if not this week, certainly early next week, open up that scheduling so that you ladies can get your time with me. No worries, no overthinking, no overwhelm. We're going to figure this out together. Okay. All right. And utilizing our Facebook group. I understand you're busy, so if you don't go there daily, that's fine. But, just realize that part of what's going to make this program really great is the networking. And I think you'll agree with me when we see each other. I love Zoom. We can see each other. I just feel like we're kind of all sitting in the same room. And so that encouragement and support of each other and the inspiration that we have for each other is just really important. So I appreciate you coming to the page. You ladies have all done the success work, so you can appreciate the importance of time blocking and the circle of trust, confidentiality, and accountability. If any of you ladies, because you're my beta gals, if any of you ladies say, hey, Jude, I need a kick in the butt. I need you to check in with me like once a week, or I need you to check in with me, every couple days. Just shoot me a private message and let me know what you need, and I will do my darndest to be what it is you need, okay? But simplicity rules, okay? Now I'm just gonna summarize some things that we've done, but believe me, there's plenty of new stuff coming. All right, so branding, just to refresh. Why are we even doing this? What does it matter? It's about that emotional trigger, a feeling that's gonna make someone feel connected to you, whether that is a cause that you have, that they have too. Like for me, Mothers Against Drunk Drivers, anybody that says that they have that as a cause, I will have that instant connection, and it would pique my interest to learn more. Other Christians, if you want to put your faith as part of your platform or your business, that's going to resonate. So that's the whole thing. And so some of the things that I've commented on some of the success work was that I wasn't sure in some cases where some of the things that you've said about your brand were emotive enough, would be something that somebody really can grab onto. And don't worry about that now, because like I said, that's kind of like just going to simmer. But I do want you to think about that, because every brand that you can think of, there's an emotion to it. Nike, passion. It's not really just about athletics, but it's about being passionate about something, right? And Disney, it's just fun, and Apple, it's like cool, hip, and latest technology. So like being hip, and I don't know how to be hip, so I look stupid doing that. But anyway, you get my point, okay? It's emotional. And it's about the experience that we create wherever we show up, whether it's live, whether it's on an Instagram feed, whether it is in our blog or on our website. So that's all part of branding. And again, emotion is evoked through a story, like your story that we're going to create next week, with that connection or that relationship that I just mentioned, with that trigger emotion, and also with memories. So if as you relay a story on Instagram, or you relay a memory, a time when maybe you were on the other side of real estate, those of you who are agents, or for Celine, you know, you were on the other side of the mortgage world, and maybe you have a bad memory, and people reading that will be like, whoa, that was me. Wow, she does get it. You know, she does recall what that's like. So I can trust her to take care of me. All right, so the 4 steps that we're going through, we've done the first one, and today we're going to be dealing with number 2, identifying your ideal client and your niche, which I love. I just wanted to pause and say great work on all of this that you've accomplished in the last week, which is a lot, but it's a beautiful foundation for where we're going. Your vision, your core values, what makes you different, your brand personality, which we're going to get into a little bit more today, and those brand icons that you have, or brand icon. So brand personality, let me just move you ladies out of the way here. The goal in defining this personality of your brand is, again, to elicit a positive emotional response, and ideally a very strong one, right? The personality of who you are. And the personality, I mean, you are your brand, but you can kick that brand personality up a notch, because it's kind of like when you're on stage, you act larger than life than when you're on film, like in a movie, you know? And it's kind of like that with a brand personality, where you can kind of take things up a notch with respect to your brand personality. And one thing that I wanted to mention is that the branding gurus say that all brands will basically fit into one of these 5 brand personality types. But I didn't want to tell you that originally, because I didn't want you to, from the get-go, pigeonhole yourself into one of these supposed main brand personalities. But I did think it was worth mentioning, and I am going to ask you to choose which broad brand personality type that you fit into most. And you can see the first one is excitement. I'm carefree, I'm spirited, I'm youthful. I'm going to skip to the examples too. And that's like Disney. It's just an exciting brand. And so there's one young woman going through the Build a Better Biz challenge, and she's just cute as a button. And I could see her personality being excitement, because she's young, and the world is just, you know what I mean? So that is a broad brand personality. Next is sincerity. And I suspect that quite a number of you are going to land here. And that is, you're very kind, you're very thoughtful, and you're all about family values, and it's empathy. So 2 brands that I thought of were Dove and Apple. And you might say, Apple, sincerity, but you know, Apple kind of could also be sophistication, but Apple does have a relational feel to it that's very strong, and they're so customer service oriented. So I think that lends itself also to be that sincerity brand personality. Then we have the rugged, rough and tough, outdoorsy, and athletic. So, you know, I think Nike could be there. I think REI, of course, the rugged recreational type brand. And Harley Davidson, I put that there too, just to give you examples. Next one is competence. That's the successful, accomplished, and leadership type brand. And you can see those are IBM and Ernst & Young. And I kind of threw Facebook in there because of its influence. Let's face it, who's not on Facebook? So I think competence is absolutely a brand personality that Facebook is at this point. And finally, sophistication. And I had to laugh about this one because, look, sophisticated. I picture that with like a Louis bag or something, you know, or Michael Kors bag, which is outrageously priced, okay? And Apple, but at the same time, kind of Starbucks, because Starbucks kind of lends itself more to the, I don't want to say upper crust, but kind of, right? I mean, they're kind of snooty. And let's face it, $5 for a cup of coffee and, you know, $8 for a crumpet. So anywho, those are examples to get you thinking. But here is a neat thing that I read somewhere. It's not always the obvious choice. And here's a great example. So I don't want you to think, all of you, oh, I gotta be sincerity. That's the main brand personality that I need to be, because that may not be true. Excuse me. So here's the example. let's say a new outdoor apparel company, they want to, you know, they just opened in a new place or a new region. And so rugged would be the obvious choice for that, right? But what if they have a competitor that's already well established in that same region? So maybe they don't want to position themselves as rugged. Maybe they're going to adopt a sophisticatedness to their brand, so they can cater more to the higher end and the you know, kind of that's more upper crust, and yeah, the people that have the money. Maybe that makes sense. So I leave that for food for thought, that even though we all lead with our hearts, that doesn't necessarily mean that sincerity is your overarching brand personality. Okay, so I want to pause for a second. If you had questions, just unmute yourselves, and I'm happy to answer any questions before we move on. We good?
I have a question.
Okay, Heather.
When we were looking over those, like, I was looking at like the excitement and sophistication. What do you suggest, like, you know, when you think of more than one? Because I feel like I matched two of them.
Mm-hmm. Then you would be a hybrid. It's your brand. You get to decide.
So you could do. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you don't have to just go with one. You can kind of combine the two.
No.
Or no.
That's right. Yes, you're right. You can combine two. You can combine three. But here's my thing. The more you combine, the less focused it is.
Okay.
So I would say no more than two would be my recommendation. And
Okay.
you have a lead. Choose
Okay.
which one you really want to be the lead. And
Okay.
so maybe you want to be exciting with an air of sophistication, or maybe you want to be sophisticated with an air of fun.
Okay.
Okay.
That
Great
makes
question.
sense. Thanks.
Okay. Excellent. Any other questions? All right. We're going to move on to identifying your niche. So for me, I remember years ago, I've been in sales pretty much, gosh, I feel like all my life. And I remember them talking about a niche. And to me, the niche kind of incorporates who you work with and how you work with them. Okay. But later on, we're going to be talking about identifying your ideal client. So this is more talking about the segment or the sector of the marketplace that you want to focus on. Right. And so, of course, I'm a wordsmith, so I always look up the definition, even though I know what it means, but I want to hear what somebody else has to say. A niche is a small but profitable segment of a market that's suitable for you to focus your attention on them. And so I have a bunch of real estate specific niches, because I think everybody here but Celine is a real estate agent. So Celine, I know that your kind of client is a real estate agent. So I don't know if you want to target any specific niche within the larger audience of agents in your area, but just think about that, okay? So I'm hoping that these examples will help you all to kind of zero in on a niche that you're going to lead with, okay? So what do I mean by that? The whole point of branding is to be very laser focused on who you're going after. And it's not just the person, but it's also the segment of the market that they're in. So that if you were going to look at college students, which nobody would because they have no money, but that's why you wouldn't, because they have no money. Like you could look at first-time home buyers who may have little funds, but at least they have funds and they have credit. So it's important in the idea of a niche that you choose, and this becomes more of an issue when you're like an online a business owner or an Etsy shop where you're like, okay, who am I going to really try to hit in the heart with my marketing and my branding? So, all right, so here's a couple of niche ideas. And these have been, I mean, I scoured the internet for the most profitable real estate niches, and these are it. Downsizing. And you can see there's a lot of reasons why people would downsize. Changes in their health. You know, they could be going into assisted living. Or maybe the kids are moving out, everybody's graduated and the house is too big. Or of course, divorce, or death. And your area of specialty there could be determining if a move is even feasible, right? So maybe you're dealing with a couple who's been empty nesters, and they're like, what's the state of the market, here's what we owe. So that would be an opportunity for you that, yeah, you want them to sell and then buy because that's money in your pocket, but we also know that we've got to be good consultants and guide them to help them make good decisions for them. So, and those that have the extra strength it takes to deal with very emotional clients. The divorce can bring out the worst in everybody. Death can make people insane. I know I've gone through both. So, but a move, the right move, can dramatically improve quality of life. And so that's a really neat niche for you if you have that type of emotional bandwidth. All right, next one. They're two different niches, expireds and FSBOs, but they often go hand in hand for newer people on the market because you are already looking at a seller who, at least in the not too distant past, wanted to sell. So if you position yourself as the expert at understanding why a property didn't sell, and then marketing yourselves to sellers in a way that, it's my specialty. I only work with expireds or FSBOs, and I know how to, reintroduce a stagnant listing into the marketplace and get it sold quickly. Again, that's a really neat niche if that excites you. And again, what I love about this niche is that you already have a potential client. They've already raised their hand. They've already listed their home recently. And maybe they just had a really horrible realtor, or maybe they, like the FSBO, tried to do it on their own and had horrible pictures and overpriced and all that good stuff. Now this niche is potentially a good one, but I would say you need to know what you're talking about before you even begin to go after them. Investors are very bottom line oriented. They're very numbers oriented. So that would not work for me because I'm bad at math. After third grade, I'm bad at math. Okay, so this is a very specialized niche, and ideally, it's great if you yourself are an investor, because then you understand you can cut to the bottom line, cut to the chase, and because investors, they want the best deal. For them, it's all about the money. And so for them, you don't really have to hold their hand as much. They almost, a lot of times, know what they need, but sometimes they don't have a license. They don't want to bother, and they just need someone like you to find the deals. Next is waterfront or mountain type properties. More of a vacation-y type feel. You might live in some of these areas. Obviously, you can't have this specialty if you don't have one near you, but I need you to really learn everything about that particular waterfront area or that particular mountainy kind of area. What it's best known for, the best example is, you might think waterfront, well, they have boats and they're water skiing, but hold on, there might be some waterfronts like man-made lakes that they don't have any of that, and it's just fishing. Or they might have something else that they're known for. So before you specialize in these types of specialized regional properties, you really have to know the area. And as I say here in the last one, you really need to talk to people who live in that area and ask them, what do you love about this area? And you will be given so much wonderful information. And that's part of your market research as far as niches go. In a little bit, we're going to talk about other type of market research you're going to be doing. But don't ever be afraid to ask questions. And I know sometimes we can, again, overthink and stop ourselves. But if you, for example, have sold a home in this area and you're like, wow, I'd love to specialize in it, don't hesitate to call them up and say, hey, you know what? I've decided that I'm going to be specializing in this area. Do you have 5 or 10 minutes or half, whatever? Can I take you out for coffee and ask you a couple of questions about what you love about the area? Anyway, never be afraid. Or if you are afraid, to do it anyway. Okay, specific geographic area. This could be a town, a little sweet village, or a region, or a city, as big as a city, or it could be a neighborhood. So I'll give you those examples there. But in order for this stitch to work, you've really got to be an active farmer. You've got to own the farm, own that neighborhood. You're the one that organizes garage sales. You're the one that brings in Santa Claus, or you're the one that deals with property management. And on this one, I think optimally, you should have a Facebook group and make that one of your first priorities to get as many people in that group as possible, and then feed them, if you will, with interesting event information, neighborhood information, everything they'd want to know about living in that area. Because really real estate, and I didn't get this at first when I started back in '08, real estate is not just about the house, right? It's, and you know this, but I just really, sometimes we are so deep in it that we don't see the beauty of what we're in. Real estate is about home. You know, it's the most precious and private place, and it's about lifestyle. So let's not forget about that when we post on social media. It's more than just the house. There's a heck of a lot more. Okay, the first-time home buyer. I know this is another popular niche for newer agents, and I think that's cool. And I think that when we think about first-time home buyers, we're thinking that they're younger and they're more sweet and kind because they haven't gone through the muck and mire of life, right? But I think that working with a first-time home buyer can be more difficult than we realize sometimes, because a lot of first-time home buyers are indecisive. They aren't quite sure what they want, you know, and sometimes most times you really have to educate them about the process, because you're not in the business of just showing homes and taking them to open houses. And, you know, it's not like that. You're in the business of putting them into home ownership, the path to home ownership. So there's quite a bit of education in this niche. For real success in this niche, I think you really should get to know the local apartment management, because a lot of times they have no solicitation. So you can't reach out and leave your flyers or anything like that. But if you reach out to the local apartment management company or whoever's sitting there, and you bring them crumpets and coffee and lunch, and you know, you're just super sweet, sometimes you can really get them in your corner. And then you can actually sometimes host seminars in their facility if they have that. And always, always, no matter what the niche, hook up with a lender like Celine, right? Because they tend to have some dollars, marketing dollars. And I always had great success with hooking up with lenders who would throw work my way, I'd throw work their way, and we put on some seminars, and it was just a beautiful thing, because your marketing dollar goes a heck of a lot longer. Plus, your contact database expands when you bring on others and collaborate. So I highly, highly recommend that. One of the keys to working with first-time home buyers is hanging out where they're hanging out. Of course, that applies across the board. But you know, like for me, if I'm 53, if I really want to go after first-time home buyers, I darn well better be joining Facebook groups of people in that generation, which is really the generation of my kids. So just be very mindful of all of that. Another niche is a specific demographic within a region, within a geographic region, like, for example, the luxury market. And, you know, kind of downsizing could also be within this category of a specific demographic. I'm thinking seniors too. You know, the first thing about downsizing, some involved seniors, but it wasn't limited to that. But, you know, certainly there's that SRES designation for the senior residential expert. So the only point here is, whatever niche you decide, do you need certification? Do you need the designation? Heck no, but it sure does look good. And it shows that you're really all in on the niche that you've chosen. And again, hang out in circles where that demographic hangs out. Now, here is a niche that I could never do because I'm not into it, but many are, especially the young overall, and also those out west. Green living for the environmentally committed. You know, obviously get to know your local green builders, all the contractors that work with green products. And also, I know in certain parts of the country, there are green neighborhoods. And so that may be something that really resonates with you and that you want to specialize in. Condos. There are a couple of agents in Philly that only do condos, and they're tearing it up. I mean, they've become, one guy, he's called the condo king. It's crazy, and he's making a mint. So when you could specialize in a type of home, and condos, it's just really hip and cool to say that you specialize in that type of home. You know, you could also say, I specialize in townhomes. I mean, if your neck of the woods has a bunch of townhomes, I don't see why you couldn't do that. But again, on that issue of the niches, making sure that you have a niche that is financially feasible, that there is enough out there for you to make money. Just make sure, do your work. And if you're not sure what that means, talk to your broker. Hey, how do I search the MLS to make sure that what I'm thinking I want to specialize in makes sense? Okay. All right. Another one is equestrian living, horse farms. And I know in Chester County, where Connie Lynn is, there's a bunch of really, it's beautiful. Chester County, Pennsylvania is one of the most beautiful parts of Pennsylvania. And I haven't traveled much of the States, but I would venture to say across the whole United States. It's so pretty, and a lot of it untapped, which is great because so much of the fields and things just get taken over by new construction. But anyway, if this is your thing, or also estate homes is another niche I don't have, but it kind of works hand in hand with this one. Obviously, if you're into the horse thing, then you got to go all in, and you've got to know everybody in your area that would have anything to do with horse farms. Okay. All right, so again, now that's the end of the niche presentation. So I want to pause and say, any questions on that? And that, by the way, was not an exhaustive list of all possible niches that you could come up with.
I have a question.
Okay.
I know I'm like a question person.
No, that's great.
Being that I'm still fairly new, I'm still having trouble deciding with who I want to work with. I have a listing that's going to be going on the market probably in the next year, so I haven't had any listings yet. I do want to try working with FSBOs and expireds. I'm sure every market has a lot, but we do have quite a bit in ours. And I just haven't taken the time, really, to be honest, to reach out and try and get that business yet. So I'm still not 100% sure if that's who I want to work with. I know I have my first time buyer and my serial looker and everything that we're still looking. So I'm like, okay, do I really want to work with buyers? Like, I'd prefer to probably work with sellers, but I still don't know because I haven't been through the process yet.
Yeah, and that's a great point that, just working with sellers or just working with buyers could be your niche. But on that, I would highly recommend that you talk to your broker and see if he or she can identify a more senior agent that you can kind of go on the road with and see what it's like working with these different types that you're interested in.
Okay.
Following experienced agents around, there will be some who will be closed off and will say, no thanks, you're not following me around. Well, if they're successful, it's despite their attitude, because some of our top agents I know in the offices that I work, they couldn't be more gracious, they couldn't be more open. And so that would be the best thing, that you follow them around for a day or two or a week or whatever, however that works out. But also not just observing them, but asking them their opinion, and say, here's kind of what I'm thinking. And here's why I think that. What do you think?
Okay. All right. Cool.
Okay.
Thank you.
I
Yeah.
have a question.
Sure.
So, what do you think about, so on the FSBO side, like I'm starting to see a lot of my neighbors that instead of, they all know I'm an agent. So, and I just had one, and they called me and they're like, hey, Carolina, do you do any of these YNCs that this other agency does? Not necessarily hiring me as the agent, but a limited services agency.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And I've been thinking about, if they're gonna go ahead and pay another agency to do that, let me go ahead and give them the same services and get myself paid.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think about that?
Okay. Are you talking about the type of agencies that all they do is throw up some pictures on the MLS and take like $200 or $300?
Yes, similar. Yes.
Okay. In all the brokerages, I haven't been active for a while, but in all the brokerages that I worked at, we weren't even allowed to do that. We had to take at least 5%, 2.5% each side. And if we wanted to be purely transactional, we could take 1%. So check with your broker if you're even able to do that. If you are able to do that, then I guess there's no reason not to, but I would treat it as supplemental and not where I'm going to be focusing my marketing efforts or my brand.
Yeah, because like I have one of my good friends right now, and they're like, well, we need all the money we can get to buy this other house where I'm going. And she like sends me a link to this other company, and she's like, hey, do you think you can like provide any of these services? I'm like,
okay,
yeah, I'm a full service kind of agent, but if you're gonna go ahead and pay somebody else, I'm gonna go take the money.
I have a funny story in that regard. Okay, now I totally get what you're saying. Okay, my short answer to that is, as long as she promises to use you on the buy side, I might take less on the sell side. You know, but you want to hear something funny? I got a call from my pastor about 2 weeks ago. And I remember when he came to the church and moved here from Lord knows where, I forget, Kansas City or something. And he bragged about how he browbeat the sellers and got this amazing deal on his house. And I never looked up what it was, but he spent like a church service, like 10 minutes relaying this story about how he browbeat it. And they just said, no, it's too high, until the seller was so desperate, they just did whatever. This same pastor who got this great deal called me 2 weeks ago to say, hey, Judy, listen, we're thinking about selling. And so, you know, we're talking to other agents that are, you know, on the church, but I was just thinking of you, and, you know, you help out people in the congregation. I'm just curious, would you be willing to, like, you know, take it for like 1%? And right away I said, well, Dave, maybe, assuming that I'm going to be helping you buy. And then he hemmed and hawed and he goes, well, we don't know what he's my age, by the way. So he's an empty nester. We don't know what we're going to do. We might go to an apartment for a while, and, you know, we never know what the future holds. So it's like, and so then I tried to talk him out of that in a very subtle way. And I'm like, hey, Dave, you know what? Maybe I could do it. But to be honest with you, I don't ever want to do things halfway. And, you know, and then what did I do? Now, those of you that study me and Jan, what do we say? We do the stats. We say, look, we should know your numbers. And when I was in the business, I knew my numbers. The average days on market is 52. My average days on market, 12. So you're going to save a mortgage payment right there. That's one. Two, the list to sales price ratio. The average in the marketplace, 92. Mine's 97. You're getting 5% more than the average agent right there. Bargain of the century.
Well, thank you for that.
Okay, so really, so bottom line, if she guarantees you that you're going to get the buyers, but we know that the buyer's agreement isn't even worth the paper it's signed on, because they can just walk away anyway. And if your broker doesn't tell you that and they try to tell you to do it, well, whatever. I'm a lawyer, I'm telling you. They can walk away whenever they like. So, all right, this is good. Any other questions on niches? The riches are in the niches, they say. And why is that? Because then your marketing is pointed to that. So look, if you say, well, let's say you're kind of funny. This was me, okay? After a year or two, I wanted to work with first-time home buyers, but I also wanted to break into like the mainline Philadelphia area because I knew there was money there. And so I was kind of straddling both. Can you do that? Yeah, I guess. But in your website, that'll look kind of crazy because you're catering to someone on this end of the spectrum down here, and then you're also catering to somebody up here. So ideally, again, I think you should go all in on one niche. That's not to say that if you specialize in FSBOs or first-time home buyers, that, you know, if somebody knows somebody who has like a $600,000 house, that they wouldn't want to use you. It's just where you're focusing yourself and who you're going after to really impact and hit emotionally. Okay? All right. Now, we're going to be getting into some fun, and, you know, I think this can feel overwhelming. This can feel like, what am I looking at, and do I really need to do this? And I would say, trust the process, because this is what the top 1% entrepreneurs do of any field. All right, so I hate the word avatar. It reminds me of those crazy sciencey movies that my kids watch. But anyway, what I'm looking at here is, what you're looking at here is a customer avatar. This is a made up person. And I just wanted you to see that I kind of sort of want you to come up with this for your ideal client. Because your ideal client, I want you to think of it as one person. One person that you're going to be directing all of your messaging to, right? And that's why we want to create this ideal client. Everything you write, everything you say, it's speaking directly to that one person. So everything you have on your website, all your social media content, your blog, all your videos, all of the subject matter, I want you to think of this one person who's made up, okay? This is a fictitious person who does not exist. It may be based on your favorite client. We'll get that in a second. But it's kind of like you create this backstory. So it kind of feels like you're just making it up, and that's because you're just making it up. But what I want you to do is to picture, if you've worked with other clients and you have fallen in love and you say, oh my gosh, if all of my clients were like this person, then that's who you're going to describe. If you have not been blessed to have a client that you just really wish they all were like, then it's time to create one and go after that person and create a story. And I know it'll feel weird, and that's okay. So let's go through it. Again, if you have a client that you fell in love with, I want you to think of that person. And regardless, we're going to be giving that person a name. Okay? Because it's kind of like, if you think about it, if you were to write your best friend a note, or if you were to do a post on social media to your best friend, you would know how she talks, you would know what to talk about, you know, and that's the point of what we're doing. We're going after a demographic. We're going after an individual who fits within a demographic, who fits within your niche, that you want to laser focus your content and your speech and your story and your videos, everything to that person. So these are the kinds of things. Oh, Carolina, go ahead.
So, like I know you're saying an individual. So how about whenever it's like a family, like you're focusing on, you know, like family with children,
Yep.
like you focus on like just the wife or just the husband or like an actual family?
That is really great question. Thank you for that. And I'm glad I could see you. I can't see everybody, but I saw you waving. Okay. So if you, I say individual, but if you work mostly with couples, if that's what you're going after, then I need you to come up with a avatar for her and for him. And I mean, it's kind of like you can put it in one paper. You don't have to do twice as much, but just make sure that you're answering all of these questions that we're going to be going over here with respect to each of them. But let me let you in on a little secret. Even if you're going after couples, in my experience, the woman is the decision maker. Unless the guy, to me, a guy that's a decision maker is kind of rude. He should defer to his wife. But anyway, that's just my personal thing. So, you know, and it's funny when Jan and I started research, and when you find whether she's the only decision maker of a buying decision, whether it's a house or anything else, and also having a major decision making power within a couple. A woman is at the base of a decision at 92% of the time. So focus more on being concerned with the woman, even in the couple situation, because that's who you're going to grab. Women tend to be on social media more, and a whole bit. But that was a great question. Okay, so besides the normal stuff like age, gender, whether they're married or not, you know, what kind of job do they have? How much money do they make? Do they have kids or not? You know, you may want to ask yourself these other questions if they matter, right? I mean, if you don't care if you work with a Christian and you'll work with a Jew and you'll work with, you know, people of all faiths, then maybe that question's not as important to you. But I think most of the other ones are. Hobbies. You want to know what they do. What do they like to do? And here's another thing. A lot of times your ideal client avatar is going to be a lot like you, or sometimes a lot like your former self at some point. And that's okay. And we're going to get to doing some market research in a minute. So just kind of let everything I'm saying simmer, okay? And you don't have to, if you're kind of hazy now, that's okay. But you want to ask things like hobbies and, hey, what kind of personality do they have? Are they bubbly? Are they introverted or extroverted? Are they closed-mouthed or they talk a lot? You know, their personality, style. You know, I'm going to want you to know where they shop. And I'm going to want you to check out those shops. You know, hey, I think that a potential niche could be a single professional man who's single because his wife died, or single because he just couldn't find the one. He's a committal, you know, commitment phobe or something, or, you know, who knows why, but, you know, you may choose that, in which case you need to go check out where he shops so that you understand kind of what life is like for that person. Okay. Recreational activities. Do they, you know, are they like me and they don't exercise, or are they at the gym every day? And if they're at the gym, what exercises do they like to do? You know, what are they into? Are they into powerlifting, or are they into weight training? Or whatever the heck else there is, which I have no idea. Okay. Skills and education. What level of education do they have? Do they have any special degrees, designations, all that? And you know, everybody's passionate about something. So, you know, what's your ideal client passionate about? And I don't just mean causes or charities or things like that, but I mean, maybe someone's really passionate about crocheting. My Jan's daughter's husband's mom, if you could follow that, she's a stay-at-home mom. Her husband traveled a lot. God bless her, she is sweet, but all she does is crochet stuff. She crochets hats, she crochets, gosh, everything, blankets. She's really passionate about that. I don't know, and you know what? She's super loaded because they don't spend money. They're very, very cheap. They're sitting on millions of dollars. He just retired. I can't even imagine that. They're my age and they're sitting pretty and never have to do anything except live. I mean, that's crazy stuff, right? That's what I mean. What are they passionate about? And then we get into more specifics. What are they afraid of? And now with real estate, of course, there's going to be some that say, you know, I might get stuck with an agent who talks a good game, but she don't know what the heck she's doing. Or a mortgage officer originator who says in the beginning's great, but then I can't get a hold of them, right? So we have to understand their fears in that regard as it relates to our profession. But we also should have a sense of what keeps them up at night other than our profession. You know, maybe we're working with luxury market and we know that the hubby has a really high stress job, or wife has a really high stress job. And so what keeps her up at night is working. She, you know, maybe she owns her own business, or maybe she's an executive at some big company. Maybe she's a lawyer, doctor, who the heck knows? But this is what I'm saying. I want us to go deep. And there may be some of this that we're making up. That's okay. There are people out there in whatever we're going to make up. So just trust the process, okay? And also desires. What do they really want? What do they really want out of life? Some people, I'm just going to say something funny. Some people want their kids to fly the coop and can't wait till they graduate, right? Other people, their desire is to always have their kids stay home and never get old, right? Some people, you know, they've never invested in properties, but now they're older, the kids are out and they have some, you know, disposable income and they want to do that. Or maybe some people want to take dance lessons. I don't know, but I want you to really start expanding your brain on possibilities. I talked about shopping. What books do they love? What kind, what genres, what specific titles? Who are their heroes? Everybody has a hero. You know, Jesus Christ is my hero. Do you know when I was little, Bugs Bunny was my hero? It's so funny. So just ask these questions of people and, you know, just have fun with it. By that, I mean, ask your ideal clients that you love and also strangers, which we'll get to in a second, which might be scary, but that's okay. We do scary stuff. All right, so life goals, what are they really into? What's important to them in life overall? TV shows, podcasts, causes they care about, problems. Okay, and then here's some other examples of questions to ask. I'm gonna move you ladies out of the way here. What does your ideal client tell themselves about what's causing their problem? If you're going after a FSBO, you know, they're like, you realtors, you don't do anything, and and you charge, you know, whatever percent, and you're just taking money out of my pocket. Well, that's good. If you're going after FSBOs, you have to know that's one of their limiting beliefs. You've got to help them overcome that and speak truth to them, right? So you need to kind of understand where they're coming from. It's better to understand than to be understood, but the beginning of being understood is to understand. Whew, that's a good one. I should tweet that one if I was on Twitter, okay? So what is really going on? Sometimes your ideal client tells you one thing, but really means another. I got into sales right after college, and I hate the expression that buyers are liars, but it's true sometimes, right? They'll tell you one thing and then, you know, they fall off the map and like, what happened there? And they didn't tell you the truth. So, you know, when you have these people in front of you that you're going to be interviewing, that you're going to be, or that you're going to be sending out a survey to, because those are the two options you'll have to do this market research. Don't be afraid to ask the hard questions and to follow up. All right. Okay. Then I want you to think about what's going to happen if your ideal client doesn't choose you. How are they going to be worse off? You need to be able, you need to know that, and you need to be able to express that to your ideal client. So we're really going deep on this stuff. So next is market research. It's time to go to the source. First, I want you to identify your actual favorite client or clients. And I would love you to call them up, take them out to, you know, coffee, or invite them over to your house. You go over to their house, however it feels comfortable, and ask them for some time to chat. Okay. And I recommend that in order to get this market research so that you really, really are sure that how you might be able to answer these questions, I want you to interview at least 5 of your past clients, if you had 5 clients, whether in person or over the phone. I think in person is best, with those actual favorite clients. And then if you don't have 5 clients, maybe you want to reach out to people that are in your niche and people that you think are the people that you want to work with. Okay. And you're like, how am I going to find them if I don't know them? Okay. Glad you asked. What's this? Okay. I don't know what that is. Okay. So where are you going to look? I want you to look in Facebook groups. And this is a really good one for millennials, if you want to focus on millennials, because that's another niche I didn't talk about, but that's one. Where do they hang out? And if you don't know even where to go on Facebook, just search there millennial and you'll see a bunch of groups coming up. Or even better, find a millennial and ask them, hey, where do millennials hang out? Because you might be surprised. I don't know anything. I think I'm kind of cool. My kids say I'm not. So, you know, you think you're cool, but you're not. So I don't know anything. Who knows, right? Ask. Never be afraid to ask if you don't know. Okay. But you've got to go where they hang out. For example, if you want the luxury market, who's got the bucks? Executives, doctors, lawyers that are partners. Okay. It's like, I was just say, I'm a lawyer, but I was a lowly associate. So everybody thinking I was making money. I was just busting my butt. But anyway, so find out where they hang out and go where they go. Grab their attention or call them up. I mean, you can't call up a lawyer out of the blue if they don't know you, but hey, are you connected on LinkedIn? I have 15,000, almost 16,000 connections. You ever need anybody, ask me. I'm sure I know somebody, even though I don't know them, but I'm connected. Okay. All right. So let me move you beautiful ladies out of the way here. Okay. So here's some more sample questions. And I really need you to dig deep because, okay, let's address a purple elephant in the room here. We as women, we don't want to seem pushy, right? So I can imagine that we're going to ask these questions and then in the back of our mind, we'll say, ooh, I wish I could follow up that question with another question, but I'm afraid to go there, so I'm not going to ask it. Look, you can always pull back. If you ask a question and you're getting some weird like shutdown type thing, and you know, we have that gut, we can sense it, then you could pull back. Oh my goodness, I am so sorry. Listen, I know these are kind of crazy questions, but you know, just blame me. Say, I have a coach and my coach said I have to ask these silly questions. So if it's something that you really, really don't feel comfortable answering, just let me know. But I would so appreciate you being honest. Please don't hold back because it would help me. Could you do that for me? I mean, it's as easy as that, right? So with respect to what you do, what your expertise is, and we're all in real estate here, I think, right? What has been your prior experience with a person like me? right? So even in your Facebook groups, as you're asking these questions, and let's be real here, you're not asking these questions of everybody in the group. You're not like saying, hi, I have a bunch of questions for you to answer. You've got to go into groups, build a relationship with a couple of people, and ask them offline if they would either chat with you or answer an online survey. But these are some of those questions. Have you ever worked with a realtor before? Have you ever worked with a loan officer before? When you think about selling your home or buying your home, as the case may be, what's the greatest thing to stress you out about that? And what have you done in an effort to remove those issues? Maybe that's your FISBOs thing, where you say, you know what, I can't stand working with realtors, so what do? I don't work with them, you know, that kind of thing. The next question I love, and this is a mandatory question, because if you ask the question and make sure that you be quiet until they answer it, you're gonna love it. And what do I mean by that? I'm gonna pause. In sales, the most powerful thing you can do is ask questions. And that's how you stay in control. And not in a bad way, but just to stay in control of, you know, the appointment, of this discussion, whatever it is, right? And a way you give up that power is if you break the silence. Never break the silence. So when you pose a question, if they don't answer it, you just sit there and smile. And it may feel weird, but the more you do it, it's okay. You get used to it. Because if you say, if I had a magic wand, how would you describe an ideal experience with an agent? Wait till they answer. Don't break the silence. And when they say, well, it would be great if they did boop, 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 then you write it down, you say, that's great, that's awesome. What else? What else? Egg them on, because they might want to shut down, but you want more information. Or if they say, you know, it'd be so great if they're responsive. You know, responsiveness means different things to different people. What does that mean to you? What would be super responsive for you? You know, what's important to you in a transaction? You know, oh, well, they've got to have tons of years of experience. Oh, okay, great. And why is that? Why is that important to you? You see what I'm saying? You go deep. Because we want to know. We want to know how they think, because that's going to help us to target our message. Okay? Are we? Oh man, I don't know. I'm excited. How about y'all? Okay. Okay. What was this last one? What would have to happen to have a 10+ experience? And this kind of follows up that last question about the magic wand. In order for you to have like an 11 experience on a scale of 1 to 10 with an agent, what would she have to do to like knock your socks off? That's a good one. You got to write that down and make sure you do it every time. Okay. All right. So online surveys, 10 of these I'd like you to send out. Okay. And these might be some of your past clients or other strangers that fit the mold of your ideal client. Distribute the surveys so that you get more insight. And you can either use some of the questions that are going to be in this PowerPoint that I'm going to upload to the Facebook group, or you can use something like the Getting to Know You questionnaire that I uploaded to the form section of, not the form section, the files section of our private Facebook group, which is the questionnaire I used. But you can feel free to tweak it. What you'll see there is a lot of the questions that I had earlier, plus like, if you didn't have to work, what do you do on your day off? What's your favorite movie? What's your favorite food? Stuff like that. Really cool. Okay, and this is my Get to Know You questionnaire. All right, the last piece of market research is the competitor analysis. Now let me explain. I am not one to recommend that you worry a whole lot about your competition. First of all, you have none. Okay, if you think you have competition, then that's a good thing you're here. Okay, because I want to position you uniquely so that you really don't have competition. Nobody has what you have. Even if you're new, I want you to be bold enough to believe that. Okay, Heather? I want you to be bold enough to believe that, okay? So I want you to identify 5 competitors in your niche. And you might say, well, Judy, I don't know what the heck, you know, what their niche is. We'll just do a little bit of exploring, or maybe some top performers, top producers in your area or in your office. I would Google, you know, realtor with your town. or mortgage officer with your region, or whatever, however you want to do it. But Google is your friend, and find 5 competitors. I was going to say 5 to 8, but I don't want to overwhelm you. I think 5 will be good. And those that I want you to search to find 5 that have a similar feel to what you think your brand is going to feel like. Okay, like some websites, I will say, are the company websites that all look the same and they're really crap, even though the broker tells you they're the best thing since sliced bread. So websites may or may not be a good thing to gauge it on, but look at their social media, look at their Facebook business page, look at their Instagram. Those are the 2 primary ones. And I want you to note what they're doing that you like. If they have a lot of likes, if they have a lot of followers, if they have a lot of engagement and sharing of pages, look to see what the content is and make note of that. And if they're doing stuff that you really don't like, and I don't know what it could be, you know, everybody's different, I want you to keep that in the back of your mind, and here's why. I want you to have a list of things to avoid and things to point out maybe at an appointment with a listing appointment. And you're not going to name people by name, but it gives you a story. You say, well, I'm very particular about X, Y, and Z. And believe it or not, there are agents out there that blah, 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 whatever that is. See, so when you look critically at your competitors, you'll be surprised at what you find. One of the things that I always prided myself on was a really neat description. I took a lot of I love words, so I took a lot of time to have a really neat outside the box description that would grab them. It wasn't the usual, this is a splendid 4-bedroom, 2, whatever. So I was very detailed on the description. I took as many pictures as I can, always professional photos. And it's so funny because one time I was up against this top producer here who just has a following. He's like the clumsiest, funny, not in a ha-ha way, but in a, oh my God, are you serious kind of way. And he's been in the business so long that he just has a following because he's freaking funny to watch because he's nuts. He's just funny. And I was against him. And when the homeowner and I said, this is how I do listings. This is how it appears. And this is because I knew I was against him. And this is how his appears. Now, I will tell you that he has more experience than me, but with this kind of care on the listing, are you going to trust him for your listing, or would you trust someone who's very detailed and goes to the 11th degree for you like this? So this is market research on so many levels for you. Okay. All right. Now we're done with that. This is the last piece before we end for the day with questions and for the day. And I just remembered it's been such a day I didn't pray before we did, so we're going to pray to end up. So what do you do? What do you do when we go to those networking events and people ask us this question? The answer is not, I'm a realtor. Because you know what they do when you say that? They run the other way. How many experienced that one? Woohoo! Okay, and also if you're in some other MLM or something, I know for me, it's like, I think, oh, gosh, I love her and all, but I just don't want to be pushed into something. So anyway, what you do to answer it, I kind of use this example, this model of what to say, and you make it all about your client, which in a backhanded way talks about you. So I help first-time homeowners, seniors, people in transition to do what? Or to overcome what? Or to achieve what? You know? And I'll read my example in a second. And then I go on to say, I help so-and-so do this, and my clients tell me, and then brag on yourself. Okay, so I help young professionals get top dollar for their starter home that they're selling, right? So they can move up to their forever home with ease. My clients tell me the home buying and home selling process was less stressful than they thought possible, and they appreciate my responsiveness, my team of local experts, as well as my knowledge of the Philadelphia market, or whatever it is. Okay, so you ladies that are the brave ones who say, I'll take a hot seat on Monday, get ready for this one, because this is one of the things I'm gonna ask. that, hello, we just met at the BNI. And I say, what do you do? And I want to practice the real way, right? So like we can see each other. So I want to see big smiles and I want to see confidence, even if you're scared, you know, really scared. I hated networking events. When they had drinks, I'd go grab a drink and stand by the wall. And I'm an extrovert. It's so silly. Why am I even there? Stupid. Okay. All right. So here's our success work. And I sum it up for you. Identify which of those 5 main brand personalities best suits you, or straddle 2, but take a lead. Identify a lead one, okay? Identify your specific niche. Identify your ideal client. Right, okay? Conduct market research, we just talked about. Conduct that competitor analysis, and then draft your answer to what do you do. Now, again, I have my little handy dandy notes here. I want to reiterate. This ideal client is a made-up person. My person is named Amanda Marchand. Why? Because I'm a Francophile and I love French, and Amanda would have been the names of my 3 boys had any of them been girls. So that's what I decided to go with, okay? And just think about the way they think, the way they do things, their values, what they appreciate, their expectations, their fears, their goals, what are their tastes, what's important to them. But don't overthink it or you're absolutely going to get stuck, okay? Just say, Judy wants me to answer these questions. I really don't know why, but she's a funny lady, so I'll go ahead and do it and see what happens, okay? All right, let's see. Yeah, and again, why we're doing this is because you're going to be writing to this one person. And it makes it so much better because then you're going to know if you can kind of be more casual or if you have to be more buttoned up in your speech, right? If you're going after, see, everybody thinks lawyers are uptight, but lawyers that I worked with, some of them are a bunch of, you know what, a-holes, but some of them, most of them are not quite as fun as me, but they're real people. But people I found that to be kind of like, not stuck up, but kind of uptight, like in like a nerdy way, is like tech, accountants, those like numbers people, they tend to be. So for them, I wouldn't quite myself if I were going before them. I'd be a little bit more, you know, IBM, okay? And get to know them intimately. And last thing I'll say on that is, depending on who your ideal client is, if it's someone like you already know a lot about her. But if it's not, you need to really get to know what she's about. And so if you're like in your 40s or 50s and you want to help first-time home buyers and you ask them what kind of podcast do you listen to, you can't just know what they are. You got to go listen to them. And if you say, where do you shop? And they say Forever 21 and you have never set foot in there, you need to go experience that, ideally, so that you know kind of what it's like to be in their world. Okay? All right, I'm gonna stop my screen share and let's see what's in the chat here. I need to leave. Oh, Andrea, all right, looking forward to the rest of the training. Lynn, my camera keeps freezing. Sorry for the weird facial expressions. I couldn't even see you weren't on my screen, so I missed it all. So does anyone have any questions? Just unmute yourself. Okay, hi, Mary.
I do.
Hi.
So, you know, I don't have any clients and I haven't had any yet. So what do I do with my live interviews? Do I just like, you know, grab the man on the street, or I mean, what do I do with that?
Okay.
Stop Home Depot, I mean.
Yeah. Do you have an idea even now as to who your ideal client is? Like male or female, age range, kind of anything like that yet?
I don't know, going through this whole, I know niche has always been something that I knew I needed to find, but I never really, I kind of went all over the board with it of different things that I liked. And because I wanted to be something that I feel comfortable with, because you can't, I mean, if you don't like ice cubes, you can't sell ice cubes to an Eskimo. I mean, so if you don't like what you're selling or don't know anything about it, you can't sell it. So when I first started, I thought I was going to do like condos to like young professionals. Mm-hmm. So the first thing I did was went to my broker and said, hey, this is what I want to do. And they go, do you really? And I'm like, okay, well, maybe. So I've never really had anybody like as my cheerleader to like talk to about different ideas I had, because every time I would bring one up to anybody in my brokerage, they'd like, nah, you don't want to do that, but never give me a reason why. So that's one reason why I struggle, because I have a coach that hasn't been in contact with me for almost 3 months. 95% of the people in my brokerage have been there 30 years plus. And it's a lot of good experienced agents, but at the same time, even though they say, oh, ask any questions you want, ask any questions, when you try to ask them a question, it's like, nah. And they don't offer like helpful criticism or solutions. So I found that for right now, I kind of feel like I'm on my own. So that's why I take as many classes I have, or such as with this, and to try to find somebody to help me, because I'm not getting help with my broker.
Okay.
So
First of all,
my thing is that I'm finding more of it. I'm getting a lot of ideas, but I just need to focus
right.
on what that is.
Right. Well, first of all, I'm just sorry that your broker is being so dismissive, because if you're hot for anything, I don't care. The only way that I would shut you down after explanation, instead of just a no, a hand in your face kind of thing, would be something that I don't think there would be enough there for you to make money on, you know? So if you're still hot on the condos, I think that could be a potentially amazing niche for you. I mean, you're by the ocean, and I mean, I would.
Exactly, and that was my entire focus, is because I don't live at the beach because, number one, I can't afford it, but my whole focus has always been the South Bay, which is, you know, beach communities and young professionals, and there's more, because, I mean, to be honest, what young professional, except maybe tech-wise, could afford a home on the beach that's like $11 million? Not many. So I'm not really into the luxury market, even though I would love to sell an $11 million house. But those people that want to live that lifestyle are more geared towards being able to afford a condo or a townhome. So that was kind of originally, when I first got into the business, was going to be my focus. But then when I didn't get any support or anybody to tell me I was doing wrong or right, then that's when I kind of went, you know, willy-nilly, and couldn't figure out a niche or a farm or anything else.
Okay.
So,
okay. A couple of things are going through my head. But okay, so the condos, a couple of things. I'm just gonna brain dump my brain. Okay, so I think the condos could be something if you're hot on that. If you're interested in more of a demographic, like I would think that also a major amount of buyers and sellers would be those at about our age that would be either moving in or, you know, retiring and not retiring, but, you know, up in age. So now they have to sell it because now they're going into a home or something, you know? So I don't know if that to me seems like a really super market for you, and your level of detail and your professionalism. You know, you exude confidence even though you're brand new. So I don't know, I kind of see you there more than working with a millennial, you know, for example. So
right. I think mine would be more, not quite a millennial, but maybe somebody my age and maybe within a 20-year range, you know, kind of thing. Because,
right.
I mean, I'm 62, but I really feel like I'm in my 40s. So I identify more with people that are younger than myself. Not millennials. The only reason is that market is not very communicative. It's a very hard market to communicate with. And that really frustrates me and stresses me out if somebody doesn't communicate with me. So
right.
even though I'm there to help them, but it's like not a market that it's not my niche. I definitely know that. So,
yeah.
But
so
okay.
For purposes of the market research, let's just say this. I would love for you to do some thinking, Mary. And when you have it a little bit more solidified and you thought more about, okay, my first pick for a niche is X. then reach out to me, post it on the page or private message, however you want to do it. And then I'll brainstorm on maybe Facebook groups you could join or other ways for you to get in front of real people to ask these questions for you to get a better handle on how to go after that market.
Okay.
And I make that invitation for everyone. This is a process. So, you know, it's funny how I scheduled this. I didn't realize I did. We have like a week and a day now between the first and second, and a week and a day between the second and third. So you have, you know, several days. So time block when you're going to think about it. When you have a better idea of who you think you want to go after, then post it on the page. Hey, Jude, I need help. I don't know where I'm going to go after for these interviews.
Okay.
Okay.
Makes sense. Thanks, Judy.
You're so welcome. Anybody else with a question? Heather.
I know I'm a question person.
That's great.
Couple things. So I can kind of relate to Mary with my brokerage. I'm with Howard Hanna. They're very big on listings, listings, listings. Those are the name of the game. You know, it's where you make the money. And that's probably also why I would like to focus on listings. Obviously, it's like a better business choice sometimes. It's a little easier. But I also enjoy, like, I've only worked with the buyer side so far. And I have a listing that I feel like I like both. I'm just going to struggle. I think I'm really going to struggle. I have potential clients that are ready to buy within the next year. So would you suggest that I reach out to those clients? Or should I try and maybe reach out to people that are looking to sell, maybe people's parents or something that are looking to sell?
Excellent. And again, I think it really goes by, what do you want to do? Like if you're not sure, you're like, Judy, I could work with buyers. I could work with sellers. I don't care if it's a condo or whatever the heck, right?
Yeah.
But pick one, you're ideal. Like if I could do anything I wanted to do, what would I want to do? It sounds like you would want to be a listing agent.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's about, do I want to stay in a particular part of town or a particular price range or whatever the case may be? And I would think that you could talk to 50 people. And so if you have friends' parents who are willing to chat with you, and they're, you know, within the possible demographic of the homes that you want to list, I think it's a great idea. You can never go wrong. Make sure that as you're doing this, that you're saying, you know, you don't want to ask them their age, I guess, but, you know, just have an idea in their 40s, in their 50s, in their 60s, and just keep track of all that. So that then if you happen to interview somebody that's outside where you ultimately go, then you don't include their stuff.
Right. And also with, I will talk to my broker. She's really supportive. I absolutely love my broker. Now with the office, the larger agents that are there are not quite helpful. They're very, it's like they don't want to tell you their secrets. They're afraid they're going to give something away and you're going to take it from them. And so when I've asked them questions, they're like, you know, they don't tell you anything except, you know, just keep trying, stick with your sphere and stuff. And I'm like, y'all are full of it. I've got my sphere. I'm expanding my sphere. I'm doing what I'm doing. I just want to know a little bit more. So that's kind of why I'm here too, you know?
Yeah, well and post the questions. Like what kind of questions? Did you have one that they didn't answer or what?
When I originally started, it was, you know, how do you prospect, or do you have any like suggestions on like when you cold call or door knock, like what do you say? What kind of scripts do they use? And they were like, you just go out there, you know, nothing.
And okay. And both you and Mary, have you ever talked to a top producer in the office and asked to ride along? And if you did they say yay or nay?
I haven't asked to ride along. I have asked to, like, if they need anything, I'm happy to help them with like paperwork or anything, but I'm looking for experience and things because I work another job. So if they're in the office, a lot of the times they're not even in the office, to be honest. So I talk to them remotely most of the time. And I just say, you know, if you're there, I would like to come.
You can learn a lot just sitting outside their office door and hearing them on the phone.
Yeah.
I mean, I did a lot of that. But Mary, have you asked anybody to ride along?
Well, in my case, because if you have a coach, then nobody else will touch you. They will let you sit in on some open houses periodically. But like when I first started, my coach let me do, she's not a very high producer. So the first year when I started, she only had like a couple listings, and she allowed me to promote them like on my Facebook page and stuff. And she allowed me to go to the open house and see how she conducted, which was very helpful.
Yep.
But then it ended. And it was like, do you have anything else coming up that I could, sit in on? Nope, not yet. So I've done open houses for other agents, but they never offered any more information, and
And
when you ask somebody to like, hey, can I, shadow you for a day or so? Well, don't you have a coach? And that's the response you get. So.
well, then you know what? And by coach, you mean someone who's supposed to be taking you under his or her wing, and then they get a piece of your first couple of transactions, right?
My first 3, yes, exactly.
So then you got to go to the broker and you say, excuse me, Mr. Broker, she's not working. I need a new coach because I'm getting stonewalled by everybody else.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to be your top producer. You need to take care of me. How's that?
Yeah, well, I told them I was going to be Rookie of the Year last year, so I've got 3 more months. It's still going to happen,
Right.
So.
You never know. But hey,
never
it
know.
doesn't seem like you're getting help. Not even from the broker.
No, and I'm not the only one that feels that way. I have another person. He actually got his license the same day I did, and that's how we kind of met, was through MLS classes and stuff. And he's in my brokerage, and he feels the same way I do. Is that even though he has a coach and she's very nice, I like her, but there again, she's she's doing her own thing. They're always busy trying to make their own business, so they don't really have the help to offer or the time to offer to help new agents. So we all feel like we're just, floundering.
Yeah. Well, that's a shame. And it's almost like, I don't know if you want to stay at that brokerage, but I don't want to.
Well, that's my next step, but I want to get at least something under my belt first before there's a couple that I've been like looking at from afar that send me emails occasionally that I want to look into more, but I want to feel at least that I have something under my belt before I expand out to a different brokerage.
Okay, and I just want to throw this out, and then we'll see if there's any more questions. Then we'll head out. But what I've learned is that you've got to keep asking, and you have to almost be like aggressive in a very kind way with a smile. But you demand what you need because nothing to keep you there.
Yeah.
And you say, you know what? Look, I've invested in this branding and marketing refresh. I've done this. I've done that. I've done this. You have someone here who wants to succeed, but I need to follow people so that I have a confidence. Like once I finally followed people around, I'm like, oh, I could have said that. Oh, that makes sense. But if you don't follow them around, then you're kind of like constantly looking around like, should I say that? Can I say that? Is that, so you need that. That's basic. And if the broker won't come to it, then one day you say, "Toodaloo," and I love your heart, Mary, but really, I love your heart. And I'm not going to say but. I always say but that's not. I love your heart, and you got to look out for yourself. And if they're not giving you what you need, then to me, there's no reason that you need to stay. You've given them 9 months.
I have one thing. My brokerage, I don't know, Mary, in your area, if you have a brokerage, Howard Hanna has non-competing brokers. So she's just a manager. She has a broker license, but non-competing, and that is made, if you have a broker or somewhere out in your area for that, I suggest it. Yeah. It is so nice because they're not competing against you. They are just with you, supporting you, and it really makes a difference.
I don't know what that is.
So what that is that the broker does not sell. If they don't actively sell, some brokers are actively selling their own listings and getting clients. Others are just strictly there to manage the team.
Well, I'll tell you, I'm with Keller Williams, so you can see where I'm coming from. So it's not like I'm at a small brokerage, so it's like, and it's getting a little more, people are abandoning ship since all the new technology and stuff has come up with Keller because it's not working. And so there's a lot of people that are leaving out of frustration. So it's kind of like a mixed bag of tricks, so.
Yeah.
And in the area that I am in, there's like, the ones that I'm aware of, there's 6 Keller Williams within like a 5-mile radius. I mean, they're like right there. And we've even had people leave our office and go to the one that's, 5 miles away. So it,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I'm happy to talk even offline about this, but really, you really have to almost sit the broker down and say, here's what I need.
Yeah.
And if I don't get it,
out.
then I'm sorry, but I'm going to have to go somewhere where I can get the support that I need, because I'm new, to know that. And I need certain things in order to make my business happen. But I can't stand when brokers say you can't do this or you can't do that. And I'm a lawyer, so it's easy for me at this point to push back, but you ladies can do the same thing and say, really? Can you show me where that is in the statute? Because I have my own business. So it was my understanding I can do whatever I pretty much want, except certain states say, certain parameters about your logo versus their logo or something like that. But anywho, so.
I have a question, Judy.
Yes.
So in my case, my client is my agent. And it's going to be hard for me to pick a niche product because I do so many different products. Like we do the normal FHA conventional, but we do asset depletion. We do the bank statement programs. I do have a lot of business owners that they can't get the normal financing on a home on a regular venue. So I do have a lot of specialty programs. So I am having a challenge, like thinking, how can I like pick a niche? Like you were, one of the examples that you were saying was the condo. On the loan side, I hate condos, but I know that there's agents that they're specialized on that. So I believe in serving my client the way they want to be served. So one of the things I always ask is, what is your expectation of me? I have agents that they want to be involved in the transaction from, if we request one document, they want to know. I have others that they just want to send me contract and just for me to let them, we're clear to close. So for me to pick is going to be, so any insight will be helpful.
So that's good. And so I would say the same thing to you that I said to Mary. And that is, give it some thought and give me like 3 possible niches that could work. And so for you, if your ideal client, you're dealing with agents, right? You don't go directly to the home sellers or home buyers.
Well, we do the for sale by owner, but I get it and I give it to an agent. So I don't stay with that business because it's my way of getting to do business with X, Y, and Z agent. So if I have one, then I'll go after it. But my client is my real estate agent, my financial planner. That is my client. That's my referral partners.
And I love that. Yeah, there's CFPs and the agents. Okay. And so you've been in the business for a while. So do you have like your top 10 clients? And, like the ones you love working with, the ones throwing work your way, and think about, who they are and the type of clients they usually work with. Just try to come, so you're unique. So, maybe you work with, maybe you're one of your top 10 clients, agents, specializes in luxury. Great. But maybe most of your top clients are all over the map. And so then it's more like, I want this type of agent. And so I'm going to call her Sarah, because Sarah was my favorite agent. And here's the way she operated. And here's what's important to her. So I would say choose your top 10 favorite clients.
Okay.
Maybe CFPs, agents, whatever. And you do a Zoom call that you can record, or, interview them over the phone, or, in person, and just ask away. And
okay.
Dig.
Alrighty.
That works. Fun. It's work, but it's kind of fun, right?
It is. I know they're going to hate me, but I don't care.
That's the thing. If they go like, how many more questions are you going to ask me? And he's
I'll tell them, either you answer these questions or I don't do the next one for you, buddy.
Or you say, look, you do this for me, then I owe you one. In this business, that's always nice to have a favor owed to you.
Yes.
So, all right. Okay. Any other questions before we quick do a prayer before we leave? All right. Janine, you're good, hon? Okay, she's muted. Yeah, you're good? Okay, awesome. Let's go to prayer. I hate that I forgot. Heavenly Father, thank you, Lord, for this time together. I just ask for your kind of wisdom and inspiration for these ladies as they work on their branding. Lord, we know that you reward hard work, and these ladies are committed to building a business that's built on the foundation of Christ and service. And so I just ask for you to bless each of them, bless their week, bless their families, bless their businesses, Lord. We love you and we trust you. In the mighty name of your Son, our Lord Jesus Christ, we pray. Amen. Amen. All right. Thank you, ladies. Love you so much. Look forward to seeing you on the page. Bye. Take care.